Hello, welcome back to the Watford Way, where unfortunately we are talking about another Watford defeat at Vicarage Road. A 2-1 defeat to Preston North End last night as I record this video today. And firstly, let's get this out the way. Fair play to Preston North End and Paul Heckingbottom. I thought, whilst they are an immensely frustrating team to watch, I thought they were excellent last night. They beat Watford to every ball. They ran faster. They wanted it more. They beat Watford to the majority of duels as well. And ultimately, they deserved all 3 points, absolutely. I don't disagree with that statement whatsoever. Of course, Osmajić, the player who quite controversially played in the reverse fixture earlier this season, picking up both goals. And before we dive into my thoughts on the current state of affairs at Watford, we will talk about the 2 goals that Preston scored, because there is a little bit to break down for both goals, actually. The first goal, I'm really disappointed in James Abankwah. It wasn't a foul for me. I watched it in the stadium in real time. It didn't feel like a foul then. I've since watched it back on the replay several times myself, and I still don't think it's a foul on James Abankwah. He went down very, very easily. And Osmajić was there. A great ball into the box. I can't remember who it was for Preston, but they put a great ball into kind of the near post area, and Osmajić kind of flicked home past Jonathan Bond quite early on in the match, actually, to put them ahead. Their second goal kind of come on the counter-attack against the run of play. Watford had a lot of possession at that time. We weren't doing really a lot with it, but we were having a sustained period of possession. We lost the ball. Yasser Larouci was the last man, and even with Yasser Larouci's pace, he wasn't actually able to catch up with Osmajić, and he absolutely thundered it into the back of the net. Jonathan Bond was kind of unsure whether to stay or go. He ultimately went back into kind of his goal line area rather than coming to claim the ball. Osmajić finished really well, actually, for that second goal. And at that point, I think it was obvious to most people in the stadium that it wasn't Watford's day, and Preston deserved the 3 points. Of course, credit to Rocco Batta. He does what Rocco Batta does, scoring worldies week in, week out. Kind of similar to his goal against Fulham, actually, from a little bit closer to the goal, I would say, but still a very similar striking technique from Rocco Batta in kind of the way he drove with the ball and ultimately had the shot on goal. And I thought, it was a quality finish, but ultimately it come, too late for Watford, really. And that was my main frustration yesterday, really. I think Watford were getting into some decent positions. Yes, we didn't create any big clear-cut opportunities, but in terms of our overall possession and actually our play down the wide areas, I did think at times we were getting into some decent positions. It just felt like the wrong players were playing in the wrong positions yesterday for Watford. Moussa Sissoko was ending up kind of in a attacking midfield, kind of right wing role at times in that second half, which I found very strange. And I sit here week in, week out and say the same things. It's clear to see that Sissoko and Kayembe kind of don't work in the Watford midfield. I don't need to say that to you guys now. You guys know full well that is the case. But ultimately, my main concern from the game yesterday wasn't even the performance itself, because we know we're a yo-yo team. We know that's where we are at the moment with the players we have. But my main concern was the injuries we picked up, and them injuries were to Kwadwo Bar, Festia Basele, and Imran Louza. Now, whilst Festia Basele is a squad player, obviously it's still frustrating to lose him, but my main concerns, of course, are with Louza and Kwadwo Bar, because if them injuries, especially for Kwadwo Bar, if them injuries are serious and they're going to be out for a long period of time, that's potentially season ending for me. And if Watford before this game felt they didn't need to strengthen anymore in the transfer window, they certainly need to do so now. And Tom Cleverley very much made that clear in his post-match reaction, saying very publicly that he essentially needs new faces through the door. In terms of the injuries, he did say that the Kwadwo bar injury was the most significant, which again is quite concerning to hear. Hopefully it won't be too long, but with players like Bar who are explosive and do a lot of intense sprints throughout games, they are prone to picking up injuries. So it was going to happen at some point. Unfortunately, it's probably happened at the wrong time for Watford. But yeah, for me, this season now is ultimately down to the backing of the Watford owner, Gino Pozzo, because if he wants to, he can, invest more money into the club. He won't do so because we already owe him, a substantial amount of money. I think Watford owe Gino Pozzo well over £50 million that has to be repaid to him at some point. So I highly doubt he's going to invest more of his own money into the club. But yeah, we're in a really sad state of affairs at the moment. Going into the Coventry game, look, I'm extremely concerned that we may be seeing quite a lot of academy players on the bench potentially for that one. We'll have to wait and see. And yeah, in terms of transfer links and transfer rumours, there's not really much going on. There was a couple of rumours about Ken Sema potentially going over to Cyprus to join Paphos FC. I think that's a move that we'll see happen maybe sooner rather than later. Of course, it's been linked with a move back to Sweden as well. The goalkeeper rumours kind of keep popping up from Udinese and other clubs as well. But other than that, we've not really been linked with any strikers. We've not been linked with any real midfielders. It's pretty much just been goalkeepers, which yeah, whilst that needs to be addressed, of course, there's plenty of other positions that Watford need to recruit in. So, yeah, extremely concerning from my part. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see a better performance away at Coventry, of course, facing another English manager in Frank Lampard. But yeah, I am worried, guys. I am worried. And, the fans again last night with a big statement of intent, getting behind Tom Cleverley, getting out that tifo before the game in the Rookery. I'm sure Tom Cleverley, really appreciated that support. But as fans, we can support Tom Cleverley as much as we want. That can only go so far. Ultimately, Tom Cleverley can only do so much with this current group of players. And if Gino Pozzo isn't going to financially back him, then unfortunately, mediocrity is probably what we are going to have to accept this season. You have to remember, at the start of the season, we all were not anticipating a playoff race. And Watford are still very much in a playoff race, even after the defeat last night. But if Gino Pozzo wants to go for playoffs, he really does have to back Tom Cleverley. Otherwise, the owner and the fans are going to have to accept that mid-table mediocrity is where we'll be come May. So let me know your thoughts on the game in the comments section down below. Let me know your thoughts as well on our transfer window so far. James Abankwah on loan from Udinese being the only signing. And I'll see you on Saturday afternoon for our live match watch along as Watford take on Coventry away from home. Bye-bye.